Glad you guys could come in today. Mark and Maria, I really appreciate it. I know we've met a few times here regarding your financial plan. I know that we prepare your taxes for a few years. So I really appreciate you guys coming in. Thanks for sending me over all that information we needed. And it's really been helpful in sort of putting everything together and giving you a good perspective on your financial plan, your financial future. I'd like to talk about one part of your plan today, and that would be college planning. I know we have James and Rick, both your boys here. James being 14 and Rick being 12. I know that in a few years they'll be off to college, and some pretty steep tuition bills coming due with them going off to school. So I know it's been a concern of yours is what's the best way to sort of set aside some of our money or come up with a way to save annually for those funding obligations that are going to come up in a few years. I know, Maria, we've talked about sort of your treasury bond portfolio. I think there's around $23,000 sitting in between 5 and 10 year treasury bonds. And you had sort of thought the idea of using those for education costs. So sort of wanted to discuss with you my thoughts and something a better strategy that just to use your taxable brokerage account. And to be honest, the way that the treasury yield the yield curve is, and you're really not going to be compensated enough holding treasury bonds to sort of fund the big requirement that we have coming up in 5 years. That they're looking at state and public private schools, but we're still looking at about $22,000 annually for tuition, when we're expecting tuition to grow around 6% a year too. So what I did first off was sort of figure out what's how much money you really need to set aside, and so what we can do is take this $22,000 every year and inflate them 6% to give us our estimate, and sort of discounting those dollars back on what we think we can expect to return, and really is going to come up with the number of what we need to start saving to get to. So definitely would want to look to do other things besides just a taxable brokerage account. There are different ways to save for college. What I'm going to recommend is setting up a few 529 plans. 529 plans are state-sponsored plans where you can put money away and have it grow tax deferred. That money that's invested in 529 plans is set aside just for qualified educational expenses, tuition, other fees or books or supplies. So what happens is you sort of you invest the money into the 529. The way that you'd want to design it is that you're investing in a 529 with a portfolio, or a target date of when the first year of school starts. So really the portfolios are going to be really aggressive in the beginning, trying to get as much capital appreciation as possible before they need to start, changing that allocation down to when you need to actually withdraw and do distributions from those to cover, qualified expenses. So what you can actually do is you can fund up to the gift amount. 2017 is $14,000, and then Mark, you and Maria can each do $14,000 per each child, so you can do $28,000 each for each of them every year. So what I'm going to recommend is at 22 that we're going to carve those up. 14,000. Well, I guess we could do the full 22,000 then. Split between the two of you, to James for his 529. That would again be in a portfolio designed, over a 5 or 6 year investment horizon. So it'd be really aggressive up front, and it'd be becoming more conservative when you need access to that money to pay for tuition. And again, any capital gains or interest or dividends received in that portfolio gets reinvested, and there's no it's not going to be taxed along the way. Okay. If you were just funding this with a traditional brokerage account, even with treasury bonds that typically aren't taxable to to states, you're still going to have to pick up that interest received, and it's going to eat away your ultimate yield. We shouldn't do that when we can have this vehicle of 529s to to invest our money and have it grow, for that designated purpose. So I'm going to recommend is doing, the 22, and if we have extra cash flow, this year we can look to do, the additional 6 in for James, and even start putting away some for Rick. Every little bit is going to help. There are options to. One unique thing about the 529s is you can do what's called as like a super load, or you can super fund or put in 5 years worth of 529 gift amounts in a single year. So you could do 40,000. But based on the other parts of our financial plan, I don't really advise doing that at this point. I know that the other cash flow we need is going to go towards other things in our overall plan. So what I'm recommending now is the 23,000, the treasury bonds. We move that into the 529s. If we can get up to the other amounts, we do that. And then annually just look to see what's in our budget and what we can do to get to meet the college funding requirement. So what I'd like to do is give you guys a few proposals, different mutual fund companies that offer 529 plans. They're all going to be in line with each other. Coming up with a target date and being very aggressive in the beginning. That's sort of the goal of what we want to do with that, is to have it grow as much as we can in the time allowed. To be able to cover any expenses, when you need to pay for tuition or supplies. So I will get you those proposals, and we can sort of go over differences between some companies and pricings and things like that. But I think that's where we want to start with. So I appreciate you guys coming in. Again, any questions, just give me a call or shoot me an email. I'll be happy to help. Thanks.